What is happening there, J Gamer Dude here, and let me tell you, if it wasn't bad enough that companies are buying up other companies in the gaming space, especially around Activision being bought by Microsoft and then Microsoft hoovering at a bunch of other companies as well in its past, we now have the gaming journalist equivalent happening at the moment. Industry consolidation at the moment seems like it's at an all-time high as we speak. IGN is scooping up Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, and a bunch of other gaming outlets specifically under the Gamer Network. Jesus, that is a lot. So if you go to certain gaming websites like I do, so I'm gonna peel open the curtain a little bit on my end. I actually do search for some gaming news that I talk about sometimes, because most gaming news doesn't actually hit, well, a good amount of gaming news, I should say, doesn't immediately hit my radar, so to speak, so I do go out of my way to look for that news. But I've noticed that a handful of websites seem to have very similar articles that are worded in very similar ways, and then I realize, oh, it's because these umbrella of articles that I see from these sites are all under a single network, and so that network is then creating the same article in multiple different places in order for people to read that exact same article. And I thought, okay, that's actually interesting, but also it kind of loses some level of identity that specific site had. So now looking at this, IGN has effectively bought out a bunch of its competitors, effectively, if you were to think of it that way. Because the thing is that they've not only decreased the possible competition that they have, but the thing is that now, at this point, they could get away with even lazier writing than what has already been considered lazy thus far, so to speak. Because I feel like a lot of people don't listen to or read a lot of articles by gaming journalists, and that absolutely does make sense. But the thing is that it's because their writing quality has dropped significantly since I was reading IGN back in 2010, 2011. That's around that time is kind of where I stopped. Actually, no, I stopped in 2013, sorry. That's what I meant to say. So that's when I stopped reading IGN. Never took their review seriously though, but I always listened to stuff like Beyond and Game Scoop, and I haven't listened to those in what is now well over 11 years at this point. So, with all of that being said, what does this mean for us as people? So the thing is that everybody, pretty much what this purchase means is that they, at IGN I should say, want other people to come to IGN effectively. I should probably mention the actual articles that are being, not articles, the actual websites that are now being purchased. And these are some really good places to get news from. So we've got gamesindustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247. Now, I personally have used a lot of gamesindustry.biz, Eurogamer, and VG247. Rock Paper Shotgun, not so much. And they've also got Dicebreaker as well. And in addition to that, Nintendo Life and Digital Foundry. Now, Nintendo Life, they are I didn't know they were actually under this whole purchase until I read about it now. But they do their own thing because they specifically target Nintendo content. Whereas with Digital Foundry, again, they have their own unique setup of they test games, they then talk about performance, what the results are, and things like that. So I do hope that Digital Foundry, and VG247 and gamesindustry.biz keep working as they are, because they are very important pillars of gaming effectively. I mean, you can't not say that Digital Foundry isn't bringing something unique and interesting to the table that really scratches an itch for gamers that can never be found anywhere else. I feel like that's kind of a very important thing to mention. And as mentioned in this article here, the news comes as games media, like the rest of the industry, has been thrust into a period of dramatic upheaval brought about in part by the sudden rise of AI, changes to Google, and shifting editorial strategies. In the wake of this, several independent sites like Aftermath, formed by former Kotaku staff, have appeared. Now, just to kind of like bring those notes in, the sudden rise of AI, so it's always been a joke that like gaming journalists don't know how to write and an AI could do their job just as well, if not better. But there are still some places that actually do some really good work. So let's not completely, put gaming journalists under the bus, even though 90% of them really can't be trusted. It's just their final 10% that, it's a bad apple in the bunch type of thing. Except that it's all bad apples and there's only a handful of good apples, and you kind of really need to dig and find those actually good apples. Changes to Google. Now, for those of you guys that aren't aware, Google actually has an AI, or they're currently in the midst of implementing an AI. What that means is that when you search for something in Google, the AI is going to scour the web for information relating to what it is that you're searching for, so that rather than you going into the sites and actually reading the information, which is how those sites get clicks and how those clicks then turn into money for the sites, instead you're just going to be staying on Google. So Google is taking information from people who are writing that information and presenting it to you in a bid to provide a shortcut to you, the consumer, so that money is effectively lost by the people who own and use websites effectively, which is really, really unfortunate. And I can't imagine this having a particularly positive effect, specifically since, and this is definitely worth mentioning, that it's already kind of starting to happen. There are people who own sites that are now effectively not running out of money, but making significantly less money because of the changes made to Google. And this is also partly due to the fact that Bing is already doing it with Copilot effectively. Now, nobody on Earth uses Bing, so the fact that it's now affecting something that's actually incredibly popular is questionable for sure, and even more so by the fact that the AI is going to get things wrong, because it is scouring the internet for information, but not all information on the internet is true, and in fact there are going to be falsehoods. And this dependency on AI and things like that moving forward is actually quite concerning in its own right. In saying that, I really am struggling to find much in the way of anything positive to say about this news. I can't imagine there being a silver lining. If somehow all of these places continue to do what they do, but do separate types of reporting so that you don't see similar types of articles across multiple sites. But say for example, if some other company were to then buy IGN, they would then acquire all of these other websites effectively, and you can't not have corporate consolidation without people actually losing their jobs. Come on, man. I mean, I feel like we've neglected, as the gaming public, pretty much like gaming sites as a whole. If we didn't neglect these sites, then maybe things might be a little bit different. But then again, they've also partly done it to themselves. Again, the idea of like what it means to be a gaming journalist effectively, that you could just throw away your credibility. The fact is, a lot of like, and I'm pretty sure it's not true, but a lot of conspiracy theories like, people at IGN get paid money to, give a higher score to a game than what is actually deserved. But there's a bit more to it, like the fact that average for them is a 7 out of 10, because that's what constitutes a good game, and it's easy to describe something as good, but less so something that's okay. And then when things start to get genuinely bad, it's, a 4 or less. And that's why you see a lot of games fall between the 6 to 8 category more than anything else. I noticed that with my anime list reviews for sure. Sometimes you need to take in a lot of bad in order to take in the good. But also back in the day, IGN used to review every single game under the sun, whether people liked it or not. So a lot of varying opinions were given during that period of time. So what I wouldn't give to get that period of the internet back, but we are where we are. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 200 subs by the end of the year. And with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.